Chapter 1: Spark of Conflict. In a boardroom where cold spotlights pierced translucent glass and steel walls, the elite had gathered to discuss the fate of the economy in an era of rapid change. The atmosphere was tense and foreboding. Traditional methods of financial management, tested and honed over centuries, suddenly seemed imperfect against the backdrop of rapid technological progress and global instability. The finance minister, acting as the guardian of established economic dogma, began his speech outlining plans for modernization based on classical principles, where numbers and percentages seemed the only measure of success. But his voice, devoid of a spark of innovation, betrayed deep uncertainty, and each word sounded like a memorized text, devoid of life and dynamics. It was at this moment, when the hall had sunk into a predetermined routine, as if under the arches of an ancient temple, that a sound like a clap of thunder in a clear sky was heard. Elon Musk, a figure known for his revolutionary ideas and unconventional approach to life and business, whose image was associated with breakthrough, courage and audacity of change, entered the stage. His appearance was like a flash of bright light in a gloomy corridor, attracting everyone's attention and causing both amazement and anxiety in those present. Dressed in a laconic but elegant suit, he radiated confidence and determination, as if he had already seen the future, where outdated systems give way to innovative management models. Musk, breaking through the hum of ordinary conversations, began to speak loudly and clearly, his voice, piercing and full of energy, instantly cutting through the weight of boring reports. He delivered a sharp criticism of the minister's proposals, accusing them of conservatism and inflexibility, which are unable to ensure sustainable development in the conditions of a rapidly changing world. His words sounded like a challenge to traditional dogmas. The economy is not just a set of static numbers, it is a living system that can be tuned like a high-precision machine if we dare to trust innovation. Each of his words, filled with vivid metaphors and figurative comparisons, awakened in the audience a desire to look to the future with hope, rather than cling to outdated models. Case studies from his companies, where artificial intelligence, blockchain, and renewable energy technologies were being turned into tools for optimizing costs and creating new jobs, sounded like proof that change was inevitable. Musk cited specific calculations and talked about how his approach allowed not only to reduce costs, but also to create new opportunities for investment and development. He said that every monetary unit should become a seed that, properly sown and nurtured, will grow into a mighty tree of innovation capable of transforming entire sectors of the economy. The room, where the monotonous rhetoric had dominated, was now filled with a mixture of excitement and skepticism. Some listeners were hanging on Musk's every word, seeing in it a chance for a brighter future, while others, representatives of the old guard, tried to stubbornly maintain the familiar framework of thinking. The finance minister, feeling his authority under threat, tried to regain control, but his words no longer carried the same weight. The eyes of the audience reflected the growing uncertainty. Traditional methods, once thought infallible, began to flicker like ghosts of the past against the backdrop of the bold challenges of the new era. Musk continued to speak as if he were speaking in an arena where every argument was a blow that shattered old barriers. He compared outdated methods of managing public finances to rusty machines that could not adapt to new conditions, and argued that only flexibility, innovation, and the courage to take risks would transform the economic system into a dynamic, living organism. His speech was full of images. He described how digital technologies could transform bureaucratic procedures into automated processes, how smart investment allocation could become an engine of progress, and how each unit of money could be a tool for implementing ambitious projects. The room was filled with a storm of emotions. Some listeners applauded while others frowned, unable to accept such radical changes. In this fateful moment, two worlds collided, the world of traditional conservative politics and the world of bold ideas that promise to regenerate the economy. The spark of conflict ignited by Musk's words became a symbol of the coming revolution, where outdated dogmas give way to flexible models capable of adapting to the challenges of the new century. Everyone present began to realize that the old principles no longer correspond to the realities of a rapidly changing world, and that on the threshold of a new era, it is necessary to seek fresh solutions capable of ensuring prosperity and stability. Thus, the first chapter of the story became the starting point for a grand confrontation of ideas, where courage and innovation collided with conservatism and fear of change. At that decisive moment, when Musk's voice cut through the silence of the hall, a spark was born that could ignite hearts and change the established order. His speech, filled not only with arguments but also with a passion for change, made everyone think, how can you manage money if you forget about dynamics, if you do not let a fresh wind of innovation into a system long frozen in the dogmas of the past? It was at that moment that the hall came alive with a new meaning, and the future seemed closer and brighter than ever before. Chapter 2, Clash of Ideas. Just as the room's atmosphere, filled with anticipation of change, began to tingle with uncertainty, Elon Musk entered a verbal duel that promised to change the way we think about finance. His appearance was like a sharp gust of fresh air amid the heavy clouds of conservative doctrine, and every word he uttered evoked a storm of emotion. In this epic clash of ideas, traditional financial dogmas, honed over years of careful calculation, were subjected to harsh criticism, and innovative concepts born from the depths of the technological future came to the fore. Like a general on the battlefield, Musk began his speech with furious expression, comparing the outdated system of public finance management to the rusty gears of an ancient machine, incapable of adapting to the challenges of a new century. His voice, filled with unwavering confidence and passion for innovation, carried through the room, making even the most skeptical listeners shake with the unexpected force of his arguments. He cited examples from his own companies where the use of advanced technologies, automation of processes and the desire for maximum efficiency allowed us to reach unprecedented heights. Each phrase, pronounced with the signature audacity, seemed to light a spark in the hearts of those who dreamed of change, and each comparison, vivid and figurative, turned dry economic indicators into living, pulsating figures capable of becoming the foundation for a new era of financial management. Musk's speech was a clear rift between two worlds, one that embodied tradition, where every number and every interest rate were sacred symbols of stability, and the other, where risk, experimentation, and innovation were considered the keys to real breakthroughs. The Treasury Secretary, accustomed to the established order, tried to reassert control, but his defensive arguments sounded dull against the brilliance of fresh ideas. His words, echoes of the past, fit neatly into the general canon of conservative thinking, and each of his remarks caused only a brief lull, which was immediately shattered by Musk's thunderous responses. Within minutes, the tension in the room was building to a fever pitch as the two poles of modernity, innovative boldness and conservative stubbornness, began to clash in a brutal verbal battle. Musk, like a conductor, directed the flow of arguments with incredible precision, not allowing his opponent to even touch the essence of his ideas. He spoke about how digital technologies, artificial intelligence, and blockchain can transform the economic system, making money management transparent and flexible, allowing for a quick response to the challenges of the global market. His metaphors, bright and bold, painted a picture of the future before the eyes of the audience, where every unit of money becomes an asset capable of performing miracles if skillfully managed. At the same time, there was a sense in the room not only of the dynamics of a lively dialogue, but also of a deep internal struggle between what was known and time-tested, and what was risky but promised unprecedented opportunities. Each of Musk's remarks resonated in the hearts of the younger generation of professionals ready to challenge the status quo, and at the same time it worried representatives of the old guard accustomed to the ritual routine of proven financial instruments. Some people, reflecting a mixture of admiration and cautious skepticism, looked for confirmation in his speeches that the time had come to rebuild the system, and not just fix old holes. Others, immersed in thoughts of stability and security, perceived his words as a threat to the traditional order, fearing that too abrupt a change in course could lead to chaos. Musk did not stop at general phrases. He gave specific examples of budget optimization, showed how the redistribution of resources based on real-time analytical data can ensure not only economic growth, but also reduce the costs of public administration. He talked about projects where innovative approaches had already proven their effectiveness, and proposed adopting these practices at the state level. His arguments were supported by figures, graphs and comparative analyses, which made his speech convincing for those who were able to see specific opportunities behind abstract terms. Each statistic, each diagram became for the audience a symbol of new thinking that can turn the usual understanding of the economy upside down. As the debate progressed, a sense began to emerge in the room that the clash of ideas was not just a clash of two points of view, but a clash of worlds governed by different values. Traditional mechanisms aimed at preserving the status quo were confronted by bold and risky innovations that promised to destroy old structures in order to build something entirely new. Musk confidently argued that the time for change had come, that the outdated system could not withstand the pressures of the future, and that only courage and a willingness to radically change could ensure prosperity in a competitive global environment. His words sounded like a manifesto for new thinking, ready not only to challenge the past but to create an entirely new paradigm for managing money. Watching this verbal battle, the audience was divided into two camps. Some welcomed the freshness and boldness of Musk's ideas, while others clung to familiar patterns and cautiously opposed too abrupt changes. The atmosphere in the room became almost tangible, as if reality itself was holding its breath before the decisive blow of change. Every remark, every objection seemed not just words, but powerful signals capable of changing the fates of millions. At this decisive moment, the clash of ideas turned into a symbolic ritual in which old orders are forced to give way to new concepts, and where every voice uttered with sincere faith in a better future became a brick in the foundation of future reform. Thus, the second chapter of the story was marked not only by a tough debate, but also by the birth of a new vision capable of reformatting the entire economic system. Musk, with his brilliant speech, challenged long-entrenched financial paradigms, showing that money management is an art that requires flexibility, courage, and the ability to see prospects beyond the familiar. His words lit a spark that promised to grow into a flame of change, and made everyone present think, are we ready to let go of the old in order to accept the new, capable of giving us a brighter future? The echo of this clash of ideas will sound in the hearts of the listeners for a long time, becoming a symbol of the struggle for the opportunity to change the world for the better. Chapter 3: The Art of Money Management. In the quiet of a modern hall, where every detail of the interior, every reflection of light on a polished table became symbols of precision and discipline, Elon Musk began his lecture like a master teaching his students the ancient craft of financial alchemy. He compared the economy to a finely tuned orchestra, where every note, every movement must be coordinated down to the smallest detail in order to create a harmonious symphony of growth and stability. Confidence and passion rang in his voice, and his words, filled with metaphors, transported the audience to a world where money was not just material units, but living beings capable of changing the appearance of entire civilizations if managed wisely and with foresight. Musk began by describing how traditional financial management methods have long since lost their power in the face of technological advances. He described outdated models as being like dusty old watches, where every gear must work perfectly to keep time from standing still. In contrast, the modern economy is a dynamic process in which innovative technologies, artificial intelligence, and algorithms can adjust cash flows so that they work as a single organism, capable of adapting to any external changes. His comparisons, bright and bold, painted before the imagination an image of a system where each investment is a seed that, correctly sown and nurtured, turns into a mighty tree bearing the fruit of stability and well-being. In detailing the principles of effective financial management, Musk addressed the audience as a group of students ready to absorb new ideas. He revealed the secrets of using real-time data to adjust budget strategies, emphasizing that the ability to quickly respond to market changes is the key to success. Imagine, he said, that every dollar is a little soldier who needs to be given a clear task so that he fights correctly on the financial front. There was an element of artistic exaggeration in his speeches, when simple numbers turned into living images, and statistics, into a poem of change. He cited examples from the practice of his companies, where the introduction of automated systems allowed to reduce costs and improve the efficiency of resource management, which served as clear proof that innovation can not only speed up processes, but also make them more transparent. Masterfully crossing the boundaries between theory and practice, Musk painted a picture of a future where the economy would cease to be a labyrinth of bureaucratic procedures and become a sphere governed by logic and rationality, where every decision is based on deep analytical calculations. He talked about the importance of discipline in managing cash flows, comparing it to the precision of a surgeon who can operate even the most complex mechanisms of the system without causing damage. Each of his arguments was built like a carefully thought-out model, where every variable had its place and meaning, and every mistake could turn into a catastrophe if not corrected in time. The audience held their breath as Elon Musk's words turned into a manifesto for a new era in financial management. He argued that money, if properly distributed, can become a powerful tool for social and economic development, leading to the prosperity of not only individual companies, but entire countries. Musk showed that with the help of digital technologies, it is possible to create a system where control over the distribution of resources is carried out in real time, eliminating the human factor of errors and corruption schemes. His speech was filled with the idea that the future of the economy depends on the ability to invest not only in material assets, but also in innovative ideas that can transform society. Moving on to practical examples, he talked about how his companies were able to optimize budgets by implementing blockchain technologies that ensure transparency and reliability of financial transactions. He cited data, graphs and charts, turning dry numbers into picturesque growth and decline lines, which then formed a single portrait of efficiency and progress. Musk emphasized that each decision should be based on a comprehensive analysis, where data obtained using the latest technologies becomes a reliable guide in a world of unstable economic realities. He spoke about the importance of adaptive management, when a system is able to independently adjust its parameters, like a living organism responding to external challenges. The topic of optimizing public investment occupied a special place in his lecture. Musk addressed the Minister of Finance and other leaders, explaining that managing the state budget is not just the distribution of funds, but the art of creating conditions for the sustainable development of society. He called for a review of traditional approaches to spending public funds, reminding that innovations and technological breakthroughs can become the engines that will allow the country to reach a new level of economic development. Managing money means not just counting it, but giving it the opportunity to work for you, he said, and his voice sounded confident, backed by experience and the results of many years of work in the most advanced business sectors. Musk ended his lecture with a pep talk for everyone present. He assured that the time for change had already come, and that if the state could embrace new ideas, it would not only strengthen its financial position, but also create a foundation for the prosperity of future generations. His words were full of enthusiasm. They penetrated the very essence of the fact that money is a tool that can work wonders if there is proper management and an innovative approach behind it. Every thought, every statement he made evoked a lively response in the room, forcing one to think about how important it is to be flexible and open to new things in a world where changes occur at an astonishing speed. Thus, in this chapter, the art of money management emerged not as a dry economic theory, but as a living, breathing creation, in which each element is connected to the overall design of prosperity and innovation. Musk masterfully demonstrated that true financial management is a symbiosis of precision, discipline, creativity, and courage that allows not only to maintain balance in conditions of uncertainty, but also to pave the way for a new round of economic development. His lecture became a real manifesto, proclaiming an era in which technology, analytics, and human genius combine to create a better future, where money ceases to be an end in itself, but becomes a tool for realizing the dream of a prosperous and just world. Chapter 4: The Climax of the Confrontation. The sky above the city trembled with a dark tension, as if anticipating the coming storm of change, and the conference room, filled with anticipation of the fateful moment, froze in silence before the decisive clash of two worlds. On the stage where traditional foundations met bold ideas, the Minister of Finance and Elon Musk appeared as two opposing poles, each defending its own truth. At that moment, the space was filled with sounds that could cut the air itself. Each word, spoken with passion or stern confidence, became a spark ready to ignite the souls of the listeners and determine the future of the entire country. The finance minister, reserved and relying on time-tested norms, spoke like an ancient sage whose arguments were built from the immutable laws of stability. His speech, verified and precise, like the gears in an ancient mechanism, was filled with references to historical data, statistical reports and conservative approaches to the management of public resources. He argued that only through consistent adherence to proven rules can one ensure the predictability and reliability of the economic system, and any deviation from this course can lead to chaos and instability. His words, heavy and methodical, like echoes of past eras, seemed to have an undeniable power at first glance, but there was no room in them for the risk and innovation so necessary in the conditions of rapid progress. Across the stage stood Elon Musk, the embodiment of boldness, audacity, and an inexhaustible desire for change. His figure, illuminated by a bright spotlight, evoked associations with a glimmer of light in the dead of night, ready to break the chains of outdated dogma. Musk's voice was as fresh and sharp as a thunderclap, and every word he spoke cut to the heart of the issues. He began by arguing that the economy is not a set of frozen numbers, but a living organism that must be able to adapt and evolve in a dynamic world. His arguments, filled with images of high-speed technology, streams of digital data, and unlimited innovation, seem to embody a new era in which money is becoming a tool for implementing bold ideas, not just a store of value. The verbal battle between the two speakers unfolded with incredible speed and intensity. The minister, relying on traditional methods, cited examples of successful pasts when public policy was based on time-tested financial models. He spoke of the stability that systematic planning provides and the need to maintain balance even in the face of global upheaval. His speech was like a slow but powerful march, reminding us of the importance of predictability and caution, where every percentage and every number had its immutable meaning. Musk countered with the same kind of counterarguments as a seasoned skateboarder maneuvering between obstacles, confidently declaring, old systems are rusty engines that can't drive change, while new technologies, artificial intelligence, and blockchain can turn every unit of currency into a real-time asset. His words flew around the room like flashes of lightning illuminating a dark sky. He showed how automation and flexible algorithms could allow the state to respond to change instantly, eliminating the human factor of corruption and inefficiency. Each of his arguments was backed up by examples from his experience, successful projects where innovative solutions led to cost reduction, increased productivity, and the creation of new jobs. His speech felt like the energy of the future, where even the most ambitious ideas were realized through courage and determination. The room was filled with a range of emotions. Some listeners greeted every Musk remark with thunderous applause, realizing that the time had come for radical change, while the old guard tried to hold on to their positions, clenching their jaws in anxiety. Each remark from the minister sounded like an attempt to maintain stability, but was met with the unwavering confidence of Musk, whose arguments were as precise as a hammer on an anvil, capable of destroying the old system. In this verbal confrontation, both sides felt that the outcome of this debate would determine the future not only of financial policy, but of the entire country, because on this choice depended whether the economy would remain rigid and inflexible or gain wings for rapid development. As the debate raged on, the mood reached a fever pitch. Between the sound of stark numbers and flaming metaphors, it felt as if the entire room was holding its breath before the final blow of fate. Both speakers were determined. The minister was keen to prove that only time-tested methods could ensure long-term stability, and Musk that innovation and risk were the only paths to breakthrough in a rapidly changing world. Each argument, each rebuttal, sounded like sparks flying in the darkness, and together they created the impression that old and new were colliding, and that the victory of a certain approach would change the very nature of public finance management. The spotlights reflected in the eyes of the audience, which were a mixture of admiration, anxiety and hope for the future. People understood that this battle of ideas was not just a dispute between two personalities, but a clash of worlds that would determine what the economy of tomorrow would look like. On the border between the fear of change and the thirst for innovation, a drama was played out in which every voice, every remark carried the weight of a fateful choice. At this moment, the hall turned into an arena where words became weapons, and ideas, a shield, capable of either consolidating the old order or opening the doors to an era of new possibilities. Towards the end of the debate, as both sides were forced to soften their tone in an attempt to find a compromise, there was a sense of internal struggle not only between the opposing views but also within each participant in this duel. There was a sense that the outcome of this verbal battle would resonate far beyond the room, influencing global economic policy and shaping a new understanding of resource management. Everyone present understood that today a seed of change had been planted that might soon blossom into a revolution of new methods and approaches. And so, at this decisive moment of the culmination of the confrontation, when two worlds collided in a whirlwind of passions and logic, the hall was filled with a loud echo of change. Both sides, as if realizing the inevitability of fate, froze for a moment to record every word, every gesture in the memory of future generations. This battle of ideas became not only a clash of principles, but also a symbol of a new era, where outdated dogmas give way to flexible, adaptive strategies capable of raising the economy to unprecedented heights. And at this moment, when every word echoed with the force of the future, it became clear, change is inevitable, and today the path to a new financial reality has begun, where innovation and tradition will find a way to coexist in a harmonious balance capable of working miracles for society. Chapter 5: A New Look at Economics. At the dawn of a new era, as the first rays of sunlight broke through the clouds of change, the halls of power and the corridors of government agencies filled with the quiet but decisive whispers of a renewed worldview. After the furious battle of words that unfolded in the previous chapter, Elon Musk's ideas, filled with the courage of innovation and technological optimism, began to penetrate the hearts of those who once clung to the old ways. At this decisive moment, public consciousness began to change, the realization that money management is a living organism, capable of adapting, transforming, and, most importantly, serving as a tool for the prosperity of society became an undeniable truth. As time went on, the implications of the climactic standoff became increasingly clear. In cabinets, on advisory committees, and even in the daily work of officials, a new understanding of financial policy was awakening. Elon Musk's harsh words, spoken at the height of the standoff, sparked a storm of discussion in academic and business circles, and then gradually permeated the highest echelons of power. Where strict and inflexible budget planning models had previously dominated, proposals for reforming the system of public financial management began to emerge, inspired by ideas that sounded like a challenge to long-established dogmas. New projects and initiatives that emerged from Musk's bold ideas became a kind of bridge between the world of high technology and the world of state economics. Special working groups were created, which included not only economists and financiers, but also digital specialists, analysts, and programmers. Together, they developed concepts for using artificial intelligence to predict economic trends, automate budget management, and optimize the distribution of public funds. Each project was the result of deep analysis based on real-time data and demonstrated how innovations can reduce costs and improve the efficiency of the entire system. A broad discussion of new approaches to financial management began in society. Journalists, analysts, and even ordinary citizens began asking questions: isn't it time to rebuild the economic system? Is it possible to manage state resources so that each monetary unit works for the future of the country? Mass discussions on social networks, publications in authoritative publications, and expert roundtables soon turned into a platform for exchanging opinions and ideas, where old methods gave way to flexible and adaptive strategies. People saw that change is possible when courage and innovation overcome conservative foundations, and this inspired a new generation of leaders and innovators ready to accept the challenge of time. The first structural changes took place in government circles. Some ministries, realizing the need for modernization, began to implement digital solutions, automating processes and reducing bureaucratic procedures. An analysis of the efficiency of budget allocation was conducted, on the basis of which new investment models were developed for infrastructure projects, education, and healthcare. These reforms not only optimized costs, but also opened up new opportunities for cooperation between the public and private sectors. The economy began to acquire the features of a flexible, adaptive mechanism capable of quickly responding to changes in the external environment and internal challenges. Musk continued to actively participate in the debate, giving interviews and publishing articles in which he developed his concept of a smart budget. He argued that public finances should function as a decentralized system, where every transaction is transparent and accountable, and investment decisions are made based on objective data, not political ambitions. His ideas found support among influential economists and entrepreneurs, which contributed to the formation of a new consensus on public administration. Gradually, a trend emerged towards integration of innovative methods into the traditional management system, and this became the starting point for large-scale reforms. During this period, a sense of expectation for change began to permeate society. Citizens saw that old models of work based on the dogmas of the past were giving way to dynamic and flexible approaches that could ensure sustainable growth and prosperity. New startups emerged in cities, focused on solving social and economic problems using modern technologies. Investments in research projects and innovative enterprises became priorities for government policy. These changes carried the promise of a new dawn in which the country's economy would function on the principles of openness, transparency, and efficiency. The culmination of all these transformations was the adoption of legislative initiatives aimed at creating a single digital platform for managing public finances. This platform made it possible to combine data on expenditure, revenue, investment and economic indicators into a single system available for analysis in real time. This step marked the beginning of a new era, where the state economy ceased to be a closed system, but became an open organism capable of learning and adapting to the challenges of the time. The introduction of this system became a symbol of the fact that courage and innovation can lead to qualitative changes capable of radically transforming the lives of millions of people. Thus, the new view of the economy was the result not only of intellectual confrontation, but also of real, practical reforms that began to change the country's financial system from within. Elon Musk's bold ideas, embodied in specific projects and initiatives, paved the way to an era in which money management ceased to be a routine process, but turned into an art that unites technology, analytics and human intuition. New working methods, transparency of processes and promptness of decision-making became the key to stable development, opening up prospects for the country that previously seemed unattainable. Ultimately, this era of change brought not only a renewal of financial mechanisms, but also a profound rethinking of the role of the state in economic management. People realized that change is possible when traditional foundations give way to new ideas, when courage and innovation become the driving force of progress. A new view of the economy, embodied in the principles of digitalization, transparency and adaptability, became a real manifesto of the future, where every monetary unit, every investment decision becomes a tool for creating a better, fairer and more prosperous society. This new paradigm not only changed the way public finances were managed, but also affected the consciousness of every citizen. People felt that they were participants in a great transformation, that the future was in their hands, and that bold ideas could change the usual order of things. The new view of the economy became a symbol of renewal, hope, and faith that change is possible even in the most entrenched systems if there is a genuine desire for excellence and well-being behind it. Thus, the echo of the ideas expressed at the moment of confrontation spread throughout the country, inspiring new achievements and opening the door to a future where innovation and tradition will find harmonious coexistence, and the economy will become a powerful engine of progress and prosperity.